Hey, I'm Warren Sprouse. We'll welcome you back to the show. We're looking at life through a biblical lens and solving all the world's problems in 2 hours or less. We're looking here at an issue that has come up in our world in the 21st century, but we're going to look at it from a 19th century perspective. On April 16th, 1859, French historian Alexis de Tocqueville died. After 9 months of traveling in the United States, he wrote a book entitled, actually I think it was 2 volumes, Democracy in America. He wrote that in 1835. That book has been described as the most comprehensive analysis of character and society in America ever written. De Tocqueville himself wrote, quote, "Upon my arrival in the United States, the religious aspect of the country was the first thing that struck my attention. In France, I had almost always seen the spirit of religion and the spirit of freedom marching in opposite directions." Keep in mind, they'd just been through a French Revolution. And it was chaos. Guillotine, it was nutsy. But in America, he says, I found they were intimately united and that they reigned in common over the same country. He's talking about the people. He says the Americans combined the notions of Christianity and of liberty so intimately in their minds that it's impossible to make them conceive of the one without the other. They brought with them into the New World a form of Christianity which I cannot better describe than by styling it a democratic and republican religion. Now keep in mind, he's not talking about a Republican political party. That didn't come along for another 50 or 60 years. He's talking about a form of governance. In Book 2 of Democracy in America, he wrote, "Christianity has therefore retained a strong hold on the public mind in America. In the United States, Christianity itself is a fact so irresistibly established that no one undertakes either to attack it or defend it." In the 1840s, de Tocqueville traveled twice to Algeria. He wrote to Arthur de Gobineau in 1843. He said, quote, "I studied the Quran a great deal. I've come away from that study with the conviction that there have been few religions in the world as deadly to men as that of Muhammad. As far as I can see, it is the principal cause of the decadence so visible today in the Muslim world, and though less absurd than the polytheism of old, its social and political tendencies are, in my opinion, to be feared. And I therefore regard it as a form of decadence rather than a form of progress in relationship to paganism itself." De Tocqueville stated in another one of his books, written in 1841, quote, "I came back from Africa with the pathetic notion that at present in our way of waging war, if our sole aim is to equal the Turks, in fact, we shall be in a far lower position than theirs." Theirs? Barbarians for barbarians. The Turks will always outdo us because they are Muslim barbarians. Back in Democracy in America, Volume 2, Book 1, he wrote, "Muhammad brought down from heaven and put into the Quran not religious doctrines only, but political maxims, criminal, civil laws, and scientific theories. The Gospels, on the other hand, deal only with the general revelations between God and man and between man and man. Beyond that, they teach nothing and do not oblige people to believe anything. That alone, among the thousands of reasons, is enough to show that Islam will not be able to hold power long in an age of enlightenment and democracy. Not while Christianity is in charge, because it's destined to reign in every age." He also wrote, "In the United States, the sovereign authority is religious." He's talking about government authority. It's religious. "There is no country in the whole world, where the Christian religion retains a greater influence over the souls of men than in America, and there can be no greater proof of its utility and of its conformity to human nature than that its influence is powerfully felt over the most enlightened and free nation of the world. 60 years later, Josiah Gilbert compiled a book entitled The Dictionary of Burning Words of Brilliant Writers, which included the statement from de Tocqueville. This statement says, Christianity is the companion of liberty in all its conflicts, the cradle of its infancy, and the divine source of its claims. De Tocqueville predicted how Americans would lose their freedom. He said, I had noted in my stay in the United States that a democratic state of society similar to the American model could lay itself open to the establishment of despotism with unusual ease. It would debase men without tormenting them. How? By encouraging pleasures for pleasure's sake. Sound familiar? Men, all alike and equal, turned in upon themselves in a restless search for those petty, vulgar pleasures with which they fill their souls. Above these men stands an immense and protective power. It's called government, and it's supposed to protect and to guide. Yet it prefers its citizens to enjoy themselves, provided they have only enjoyment in mind. It restricts the activity of free will within the narrower range and gradually removes autonomy itself from each citizen. Thus, the ruling power, having taken each citizen one by one into its powerful grasp, spreads its arms over the whole of society, covering the surface of social life with a network of petty, complicated, detailed, and uniform rules. It does not break men's wills, but it does soften, bend, and control them. It constantly opposes what actions they perform. It inhibits, represses, drains, snuffs out, dulls so much effort that finally it reduces each nation to nothing more than a flock of timid, hard-working animals with the government as shepherd, a single, protective, and all-powerful government. Individual intervention is suppressed. But what you want to be, and don't worry about what you're doing to you and to your culture, is okay. It'll be useless to call upon these citizens who have become so dependent upon central government to choose from time to time the representative of this government. Increasing despotism in the administrative sphere, they reckon citizens are incompetent. It is difficult to imagine how men who have completely given up the habit of self-government could successfully choose those who should do it for them. The vices of those who govern, the ineptitude of those governed, would soon bring it all to ruin. It would revert to its abasement, to one single master. Clearly, that's where we are today, 2017. A government philosophy that views every human need proceeding from Washington, while citizens are free to do what? Free to get an education or not. Establish a strong family structure or not. Establish a good work ethic or not. Accept personal responsibility for themselves in terms of insurance, employment, homes to live in, retirement plans, etc. or not. Protect their health or not. All with the government standing by to pick up the pieces or not. Here's an unalterable truism. When truth is denied or redefined, it's not long before all is chaos. For example, when driving a car today, red means stop, green means go. If we ignore that, if we deny that truth, if we have our own version and decide that red means, well, I can go, if I want or not. Green means stop if you feel like it. Things are going to go south very quickly. And if you hop in your car and run a red light slamming into a truth-denying alt-left liberal college professor, he's probably going to jump out of the car wondering what the heck you're doing. The most effective argument to him would be, red means go in my view of truth. Isn't that what you teach? So what are you complaining about? That'll work, right? No. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. The New Bible versions say set you free. Entirely different concept. Deliberately. They're in cahoots. That this author uses the King James Version is instructive. Denying truth or redefining it to fit your own agenda prevents you and the society around you from flourishing the way God designed it. Recently, Time magazine asked the question, is truth dead? Some of us remember when that same publication asked a different question almost 51 years ago. 1966, it asked the question, is God dead? Now, unknowingly, these folks proved the point. The point is you cannot have truth if you do not have God. If God is rejected, truth collapses in its wake. And truth is the bedrock upon which civil society rests. So when God goes, truth goes with him. And when that happens, society goes. This is the inevitable reality of the postmodern, anti-God, secularist movement in America, if not the world. And the collapse of truth has consequences, especially for convictional Christians who hold to biblical truth claims about human sexuality. Dr. Al Mohler brought this to light last week, saying the denial of truth, quote, was celebrated in the American Academy and also in Europe by the rise of the movement known as postmodernism, a movement that intellectually presented the argument that either objective truth does not exist or it is unknowable. The process went something like this. God is dead. Therefore, objective truth no longer exists. Therefore, only what I believe to be true for me is truth. For me. Therefore, the static distinction between male and female no longer exists in my mind. And you better accept that, or you are the problem. Sound familiar? We're looking at the inevitable results of arguments that have been made for more than a generation. And so today, when it comes to human sexuality in America, red means go, green means stop. All hell is breaking loose. Just last year in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system used the gender unicom to teach students as young as first grade all about sexual orientation and gender identity. Romans chapter 1, beginning at verse 18, reveals what happens when truth is denied. And we are literally watching this unfold every day, every year, right before our eyes. It goes like this. In Romans chapter 1, verse 18, it talks about denying truth. And if you deny truth, verse 21, it darkens your heart. And with a darkened heart, verse 25, God is displaced. And when God is displaced, verse 26, passions are degraded. And when passions are degraded, verse 28, you end up with a depraved mind, where a man can claim to be a woman and make the whole world march to his drum. Why? Because we have denied God. And because we have denied God, we've lost the basis for truth. As a result, we're not free to flourish as God designed, and we have completely lost our minds in this nation. The new Time magazine cover captures it all. How many Americans will think through this philosophical argument or care?